Hello everyone, it's Mafalda and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I bought in New York City. I went a couple of weeks ago and I had such a blast. It was amazing and such a dream come true. And I obviously ended up going to bookstores like you already saw in this video. And I obviously bought some books. I actually went to New York with already a list of books that I was looking for, and I did end up buying some books from that list, but I also ended up buying some random catches that I found in bookstores and I thought were interesting. And yeah, I bought a total of 9 books, which was a good amount, I feel like. I guess let's get started, and I'm gonna go through the books in chronological order of when I bought them and where I bought them. So the first book that I grabbed, and this was at a Barnes & Noble, I think it was the Barnes & Noble at Union Square, which was huge, and we spent so much time there just looking for books, and I ended up buying 2 books that I already had on my list that I made before I went to New York. And this is actually our book club book for the 20-something book club for December, and it is The Book of Mother by Violaine Huseman, translated by Leslie Kami. I honestly have no idea what this book really talks about. I remember when Casey and I picked it for the book club, it was because it sounded interesting, and I really love the cover of this, and also the title of the book, The Book of Mother, just sounds so intriguing. And I think it's about a mother and a daughter, and curiously the daughter is named Violaine, like the author of the book, which makes me think that maybe this is somehow inspired by her own life. And I just think it's about a mother and a daughter and their complicated relationship, and honestly I'm here for it. I think the mother is kind of like messed up, and yeah, I don't know, I'm just reading some things from the back, but I'm honestly intrigued. I'm really excited to read this month still in December. And yeah, it's also a pretty short book, and it's a translated fiction, which I'm always trying to read more of, so that's great. And the next book that I got at Barnes & Noble was A Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson, and I've been meaning to get this book for at least a year now, and I've been looking for this specific cover because I love this cover so much. And here in Portugal, I've seen the UK cover around, the one that has like a spoon, and I honestly hate that cover so much, and I wanted this specific cover, which is the US one. So when I went to the US, I had to get it, and I'm really excited to read this book. So this is set in present-day California, and it follows Benny and Byron, and their mother Eleanor has just passed away, and she left them very weird things. She left them a black cake, which is a Caribbean traditional cake, and also a voice recording, and they start listening to the voice recording and they start figuring out more stuff about Eleanor's life, their mother, and they kind of start to question their whole relationship with their mother. And in that voice recording, Eleanor also shares her final wish, which is to share the black cake when the time is right. And this book just sounds like a roller coaster ride, and I'm so ready for it, and I've been meaning to read it for so long. I really hope it lives up to my expectations, honestly. Now, the next 2 books I bought at Book Off, which is a bookstore, but also has other forms of media like video games and CDs and I think DVDs, and everything is secondhand, and so the prices there are pretty good. And I did find some interesting books there, but I ended up only buying 2. And the first one was We Ride Upon Sticks by Quan Berry. I've heard a lot about this book from Books and Lala. I know that she absolutely loves this book, so ever since I heard her talk about it, I've been really interested in reading it. And this book is set in the 80s in Massachusetts, in the same town where the 1692 witch trials happened, and it follows a field hockey team who is doing kind of everything they can to win, I think, the state finals, yes. And I think they realized that by tapping into some kind of like dark forces and witch stuff, they can manage to win the state finals. I think it's something like that. I know that it draws the parallel between the 80s, about this team, and also the witch trials that happened, and I think that this team starts to do like witchy stuff to win. I think that's the story. I've heard a lot of mixed things about this book, but I really hope I like it. And the next book that I bought at Book Off, the cover is pretty damaged, but I'm okay with it because it was pretty cheap. I think it was maybe like $5 or something. So it's okay, and maybe I can try and fix the cover. I still haven't, but who knows. And it is The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion, and this is a nonfiction book. I think it's a memoir about Joan Didion's life, and I've heard just really rave reviews about this book, so I've always been interested in picking it up. It's also a pretty short book. It was for $5, so I was like, why not, honestly. I've also never read anything by Joan Didion, so I'm interested in seeing her writing and seeing if I like it or not. Now, the next two books I bought at Books Are Magic in Brooklyn, which was most likely, I think, my favorite bookstore that I visited in New York. It was just so great. I spent like an hour and a half there, just looking at every book, and honestly, if my budget allowed it, I would have bought more books there, but I only got two. And I'm really excited about these two books because I've never heard anything about them, and they weren't on my list at all. But at Books Are Magic, they had just really nice sections in the bookstore of really like specific things, and also they had these like recommendation cards from the booksellers there, so I was honestly really influenced by those cards, and I got two books that were recommended by booksellers there. So the first one is My Work by Olga Ravn. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. They had a whole section on translated fiction, so I really wanted to get a book from there, and I got this one. I love this cover, first of all, and when I read the back, I just thought this would be a weird book and also something that I would like, because it involves a lot of themes that I do enjoy. And basically it's about Anna, our main character, and she just gave birth to her first child, I think, and she has a lot of anxiety about being a new mother. She's obsessively buying things online, and she's sinking into kind of like postpartum depression. And to try and get out of this depression, Anna starts to try and read and write more, and I think the story follows from there. Honestly, the back only says that, but it says that it's a novel about the unique and fundamental experience of motherhood. It mixes fiction, essays, poetry, memoir, and letters to explore the thorny, twisted lives between pregnancy, maternity, capitalism, work, art, individuality, and literature. It's just like such a mix of things, but I'm honestly so interested, and the fact that it's so like experimental and it has poetry and nonfiction and just essays, and it has so much, so I'm really excited. And also it's a translated fiction work, which I'm always, like I said, I'm always trying to read more of, so really excited to get to this one. It's a pretty chunky one, but yeah. And the next book that I got at Books Are Magic was because they had a whole section on Indigenous authors, and I think it was because it was November, and November was Indigenous Heritage Month. So I really wanted to get also a book from that section, and I got this one, A Minor Chorus by Billy Ray Belcourt, and this is pretty short in comparison to the last one that I showed. It's set in Alberta, and it follows a queer Indigenous doctoral student as he steps away from his dissertation to write a novel informed by a series of poignant encounters. And I think it's just short stories that the author is writing while stepping away from his dissertation. I think that's it. So it's kind of like a collection of short stories, but it's also a fiction work at the same time, so I'm really interested in diving into this one. And yeah, it's also a pretty short read, which I always appreciate. Now the next three books I also got at Barnes & Noble, but it was in New Jersey when I went to visit Casey. And yeah, we just browsed the books, and I also had some books for our book clubs that I needed to buy, so I prioritized those. And then I also wanted to buy a book with her to like buddy read in the future. So yeah, that's what we did. So first of all, the books for the book club. First one I got was Word Slut, A Feminist Guide to Taking Back the English Language by Amanda Montell, and I'm actually reading this one right now, and I'm really liking it, by the way. But this is basically a book about linguistics and how we talk about women, how women talk to each other, and it's just kind of an exploration of womanhood and linguistics, and it's really interesting so far and also really, really funny. So that was the first one I got because this is for the Nonfiction Bodies book club. I think it's our book club pick for November and December. So yeah, I got that one at Barnes & Noble. And then I also got Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas, and this was our book club pick for October, and I'm really behind. I'm reading it right now as well. And this book is set in the 1840s in Mexico, and it follows our main character Nena, and I think just weird stuff starts to happen at her hacienda that she lives with her father, and I think that's it. I'm really guessing that she's probably a vampire slayer. I'm still in the beginning. I'm in the first chapter, so I don't really know a lot about the story, but it probably is about vampires, and it's set in Mexico, and she's probably a badass by the looks of it. And that's all I know, and honestly I don't want to read more because I would just want to be surprised since I'm reading this one right now. So yep. And the last book that I got at Barnes & Noble was the one that me and Casey got together because we plan on buddy reading it, and I've heard about this book, but I honestly don't really know a lot about it. And it is Young Mungo by Douglas Stu, set in Glasgow, and it follows Mungo and James, who are born under different stars. Mungo a Protestant and James a Catholic, and they should be sworn enemies, but I guess they fall in love, and it's about them kind of navigating that probably, and just yeah, dealing with the fact that they come from very different backgrounds in terms of religion. So it sounds really good. I love this cover as well, and yeah, I'm excited to buddy read this with Casey probably in 2024. And I guess that concludes my little New York vlog. I got 9 books. I'm really excited about all of them, and I just had such a blast. I really hope you guys enjoyed not only this video but the other vlogs that I did for New York, which I loved making. And yeah, I guess that concludes my video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on my next one. Bye!